Hey everyone, welcome to a new show of the AI Best Business Show. Today I have with me Ismail Bargach.
Yes, that's
Did I
it.
say it right?
Yeah, that's the correct
Perfect.
way.
He's the founder of Wafr. It's a mobile payment smartphone. He has different startups before. We're here to learn from Ismail about his startup journey and the Moroccan startup ecosystem. Ismail, I was doing some research and I know you've been an entrepreneur for a long time. One of your startups was Lig.
Yes.
Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, of course. So basically, with my co-founder Omar at the time, we created the startup out of a problem that we were seeing every day. But basically, we both of us have done our business schools in France. We came back to Morocco and we noticed something really simple. People are buying phone credit in a daily basis and in small amounts because people have prepaid phone lines. So we basically created an application that we were using in order to give top-ups for free, and in exchange of that, people were accepting to receive ads. So we basically bootstrapped the first version of the app in less than 2 months, launched it in the market, and the success was unbelievable. After maybe it was something like 3 months, we had more than 100,000 daily active, meaning 100,000 people that were basically seeing the ads that we were displaying in the ad. So it was cool. It was back in 2014, I think.
What happened to it? Did you sell it? Did you just stop working on it? Or
No,
what happened
we actually stopped it. Both of us stopped it because at that time there was no real VC industry in Africa and in Morocco, and we basically took money from a business angel that well, we couldn't. It was really hard for us to manage the relationship with him. So it was impossible for us to continue developing the company in that kind of situation.
Perfect. So since then, now you started Wafr, and you've raised money recently.
Yeah.
Tell me more about Wafr. Where did the idea come up from? How did it start? How did you meet your co-founder? What is Wafr?
So basically, Wafr for people, it's a mobile wallet in closed loop that allows people to get cash back whenever they buy from the grocer. So I think it's the same all over the emerging markets, but here in Morocco, 37% of people's money goes in fast-moving consumer goods, and the vast majority of FMCGs are done in small grocers. Basically, grocer is the place where Moroccan people are spending the biggest amount of their money. So the initial idea was to find a way to increase people's buying power. And this is basically the reason why we created Wafr. Wafr is a smartphone app that allows you to get cash back whenever you buy what costs you the most, which is FMCGs, and in the place where you spend the most, which is the grocer. For fast-moving consumer goods companies, it's another problem that we are solving. Actually, as I was saying, 90% of sales for FMCGs are done in small grocers, and inside those stores, it's impossible for them to create promotion for what they call shoppers, so clients of grocers, so people basically. And it's really important for them to do that kind of promotion because it's a way for them to increase their market shares, sales, and profit. So basically, for people, Wafr is an app that gives you cash back, and for FMCGs, Wafr is a loyalty program.
Perfect. So basically, for grocery stores, you're bringing them customers.
Yeah.
You're doing their ad. You're getting them customers, and for customers, you're saving them money.
Yeah.
How does Wafr make money?
So we have agreements with FMCG companies, and each time we give $1 to $1 as a cashback, we will earn 10% of this dollar, so 10 cents of a dollar.
Okay. I read a post that it was really hard for Wafr to make a relationship with banks or the central bank. Can you explain what was the difficulty and how did Wafr overcome that?
Yeah, of course. So basically here in Morocco, when we decided to start Wafr, it was early 2019. There was no open API that allows people to basically create a fintech. This was the main difficulty. However, maybe the thing that I had not been clear enough about, it's that both the central bank and the banks had been really happy to have a startup talking with them and asking for an open API. The very difficult part for both the central bank and the banks was the execution part. So these are big companies. It's really hard for them to just talk with someone and maybe 2 or 3 months after have something new that had been created just for a very specific purpose. So basically the execution was another animal. It was really hard, and that's what made us lose a lot of time talking with banks. How we solved this, we went from open to closed loop. Actually, for Morocco, for the time where I'm talking, so now it's really easier to do fintech if you do closed loop rather than open loop.
Can you explain what's the difference between open loop and closed loop for people who don't know?
Yeah, of course. So basically, open loop, you have money that transacts through your app. You can use it in order to buy whatever there is. There is a place where you can pay with a Visa or a MasterCard. If you are an open loop, the currency that you have inside your wallet is actually a central bank currency. If you are closed loop, it's just loyalty points that you can use only inside your closed loop for things that you are selling as a business. So basically, this is the difference.
So if I'm understanding right, a closed loop is money you already have, but you're using it through the app.
Yeah.
And an open loop is money through banks and credit cards.
Exactly.
Is that kind of right?
That's
okay.
The difference, absolutely.
Okay. You started you have a co-founder on your startup, is that right?
Yes, that's right.
How did you find your co-founder, and what skills do each of you have to complete each other? Like, what skills did you bring to the table, and what skills did your co-founder bring to start Wafr?
So for the skills part, it's really easy. He's doing code, I'm not. So that's super simple. How did we met each other? It was actually many years ago. We met. So we met at a moment where I left my position at. I was country manager for a VC company that is called Seed Stars here in Morocco, and when I left them, I had an idea. I was trying to basically create an online raffle, a smartphone app that just allows you to pay on just one click, and then get credits out of just this SMS that you send. So an overtaxed SMS, and then you get a credit, and this credit allows you to participate in a raffle. And once you participate in this raffle, you basically win or not on what you're doing on the raffle. So we met because I was looking basically for a smartphone developer, an Android developer, and he was available at that time, and I didn't know him. And after a few weeks of working together, I proposed him to become a co-founder of the project. But however, we never launched this project only for moral reasons. The project had a lot of potential, but we decided not to launch it. And both of us continue our lives. Afterwards, I became country manager of Hitch, which is a competitor of Uber. He went and became tech lead in a big consulting company. Well, a few months after, I still want to be an entrepreneur. The same was for him, and we grabbed a coffee. I remember it was early 2019. It was raining. I was just coming back from Paris at that time, and we just took this coffee and decided to do it together.
Great. You mentioned you were working at different companies. How much money did you have to start Wafr? Did you have a lot of money before starting Wafr? Did you start from zero? Where did the money to start Wafr come from?
Yeah, actually, we did not have any money that we could invest from our side. Here in Morocco, we have something that is really cool. It's called La CCG. So it's not the central bank, but it's something that is related to the central bank that is basically helping entrepreneurs create their startup. So basically, when they see that you have a project that has potential, they give you $20,000 for free, just so you can start up your business. Then they give you up to $50,000 as a free debt. So basically, we grabbed out of it maybe $45,000, and that helped us a lot. Actually, in the early days, we used it in order to build our first MVP. And then we had been able to raise the first seed round. It was, I think at that time, I actually, I don't think, I'm sure it was $50,000 at a $500,000 valuation. So
Wow.
yeah, it was really small. It was
And
more than a year and a half ago, approximately. And yeah, that's $50,000. This is how we started up the business.
and you mentioned that the program gives you $20,000 and they don't take any equity
Yeah, zero equity.
in your startup.
Yeah.
Oh wow. You know what? I think a lot of governments and a lot of countries should do that, because and being an entrepreneur, starting a startup helps the economy in a great way. And people, especially in the MENA region and GCC region, they need this kind of money to start.
Yeah, I agree.
And there should be more opportunities.
I agree. I totally agree.
How many employees do you have now at Wafr?
So now we are 16 people. 16 people.
What does the day to day look like? Like, if you wake up in the morning, how do you manage Wafr on a day to day?
So it's the mornings are always the same, because I wake up at 7 in order to be at the office at 9. At 9 sharp, we start the business, which we started a meeting with the growth team, and basically we are talking about growth. We are talking about basically the money that we invest on Facebook, Google referral programs, etc. And the call goes from 9 to 10:30, and then at 10:30 we start the product meeting. So with the developers, with Reda, my co-founder, and me, and basically here we just look at what we have to do, where everywhere one is. And what are we going to build in the near future? And all the mornings are exactly the same.
So basically,
yeah, go ahead.
Basically, you're still doing operations. You're not, because at a certain point, founders of startups become the visionary. They think about the vision. They're not really in the operations, but you're still doing operations at this moment.
Yeah, definitely. I wish I could do only the vision. I wish so much. Definitely, and this is not what I'm doing on a daily basis.
And in terms of growth, what are your goals? Like, what are your goals to grow, and how do you plan on getting there?
What we want. So in terms of growth, we have many KPIs. The one KPI that is after everything is obviously the revenue. So our main target is to be at approximately $2 million monthly revenue, because it's the amount of revenue that would make us break even and being not dependent on anyone for financing the growth of the company. We are now at about $150,000 a month, so we are far away from the target, and our main target is basically to get there as soon as possible.
Do you plan on expanding outside of Morocco, or is it now just focusing on Morocco, and once you figure out Morocco, you plan on expanding?
No. We absolutely look at other countries. We look at Nigeria and Egypt in priority. We definitely think that what we are doing is have a huge potential over there. And those countries, so Egypt and Nigeria in particular, are bigger in size than Morocco. So Nigeria is 200 million, Egypt is 100 million. In Morocco, we are only 35 million. So yeah, definitely we look at other countries.
So you mentioned you want to expand to Egypt, Nigeria, and you're now in Morocco. From what I read and what I hear is that people in the MENA region, Africa specifically, they're still afraid of using fintech products or mobile app payment products. How do you plan on overcoming that? What do you think is the problem with why aren't people wanting to use fintech or mobile app payments? They still want to use cash.
Well, I think that the only reason why people are still not using fintech only in their lives, it's because cash is less expensive. We are in countries where in order to have access to internet, you have to pay. So basically, if you have, and we are targeting really poor people, and cash is doing the job. To be honest, cash, it's a wonderful problem. So actually, when we talk about fintech, we are not solving a problem. We are creating a problem for people. So Y Combinator are saying make something people want, not make something that people don't want. And we actually strongly believe in Wafr that what we are doing is an answer to that problem, because What we are trying to do is to say, if you are using our app, or actually it works also if you use cash in order to buy. So basically, but if tomorrow, if we have an open loop wallet inside our app, we will say to people, when you use the wallet, you basically pay less for the same thing.
Exactly. And I think, as you mentioned, people in the region, they don't go, like, not a lot of people have bank accounts and use banks. They still get paid, but even sometimes by cash, go use their cash and buy products. Not a lot of people get their paycheck through the banks. And this is, I think, something we should work on for the future, to have a good fintech banking system and help people use it in a better way.
Yeah, I agree.
You just raised funding recently.
Yes.
How does, if someone is starting a startup and they want to raise funding, how does raising funding work? Like, where do you start? How do you reach out to investors? What does the process look like?
Yeah, I think it's a wonderful question because it's creating problem for so many entrepreneurs. So basically what people think, and I don't know why people are thinking this, is that they are going to go and tell a story at a VC firm or a business angel, and that afterwards he will give them money, and using this money they will build a beautiful company. That doesn't work that way. What people need to understand is that in order to raise funds, it's really important to make yourself in the investor's shoes. And the one thing that makes investor invest is fear of missing out. So basically what you have to show to the investor is that if he don't put money inside your company, he will miss a wonderful opportunity to create a lot more money than what he put. And in order to do so, the biggest leverage that you have as an entrepreneur is to tell him, look, what I'm doing, it's going. We are building and it's growing, and we are going to be fine. And we will raise money. Whether, obviously you shouldn't say it like this, but the message that should arrive to the investor is we are going to get money because we have a lot of traction, and we would be super happy to have your money. But if not your money, we will get money somewhere else because we have traction. And I think that this movement, this impression of seeing the company moving, whether he puts the money or not, is the best leverage that you have as an entrepreneur. And that's what you should be really good at, making people think that you are the best file on the VC industry of your country. And this is how we basically, all the startups are getting money in early stage.
And I love that you mentioned you have to be a good storyteller, and plus you have to show that you have traction. If you go to an investor, you're just a good storyteller, and he's like, okay, what traction do you have? How many customers are using your startup? Are you bringing any revenue? And you have zero answers. He's not going to want to invest. But if you show a good MVP, good traction, then investors would want to invest in you. And entrepreneurs should understand that.
Those guys, investors, are usually super good at seeing the difference between a good storytelling and a good traction. They see plenty of guys that are super strong at storytelling. There is plenty of content in internet explaining how you should pitch, etc. And more people are becoming good at telling stories. That's true. But investors, their job is to see the difference between good storytelling and good traction, so good deal flow. So what I think is the real leverage is the traction that you have, and the not only the traction, but also the fact that you put yourself in a situation where the entrepreneur understand that you guys are equals. You are not here to ask for money. You are here to create a situation where both of you will profit from your collaboration.
When you were pitching investors about Wafr, what was your big vision?
Well, so what we basically think is that one, this problem that FMCGs have in Morocco does exist all over emerging markets. So basically what it means is that out of 8 billion people, there are probably 6 billion people that are buying food from the grocer next door. Wow. So that's the first thing. Second thing, everyone in the world is getting a smartphone and an internet connection. So basically what we are trying to create is it's basically a smartphone app that allows you to pay less each time you buy what you eat, and what you eat is basically what costs you the most as someone that is in an emerging market. So this is the vision that we are pursuing right now, and around that vision there is a lot of stuff that we can build. Obviously, if you have an app that is fintech, that all the retailers have and that all the people have, the number of things that you can do, it's completely limitless.
I love that, and it's true. Everyone around the world is using, like, buys food at groceries. And you mentioned something. I was hearing a podcast yesterday, and they were speaking that 20, 30 years ago, when you would start a business, you only want to sell to people in your town or passing by your street. Today, when you start a startup, you want to sell to everyone around the world because everyone has a mobile phone and has internet.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
I want to go back a little bit to Wafr. Do you guys have data of, like, people are purchasing? Could you guys at Wafr see what people are buying, what product they're buying, or you don't have access to that?
Yeah, we do.
And the reason I'm asking you, what is the data showing? Like, it's interesting because I'm taking my MBA now, and one of the classes was operation management, and the professor spoke about that. Some companies, they know whenever a person goes inside a store, what they buy and how much they buy of that product, so the manufacturer could go back and manufacture more. I want to see, like, what interesting stuff are you seeing in the data? Do people buy more at the beginning of the month, the end of the month? Could you tell me more about, like, interesting stuff you see from the data you have?
Yeah, of course. So basically, before buying something, before getting the cash back from something that he buys, a Wafr user will have to flash the barcode. So that's the use case that we are building. You flash the barcode, you get a cashback. So you flash the barcode, you get a QR code that appears on your smartphone app, and the grocer have to flash this QR code. So both of you, the grocer earns a cashback as well. So you and the grocer will earn a cashback. So basically, we know what you buy, what you bought, who you bought it from, when, where, and we can do it like in every kind of other or further data that you can imagine.
Wow.
So we actually have everything.
I think that's a huge tool manufacturers and big grocery companies could use to know the demand on their product, what product is working. I mean, if someone goes in the supermarket and buys a lot of this certain kind of chocolate, let's say, companies would know, oh, people like this chocolate, and they would buy more of it because people are using Wafr to buy it. Yeah. So that's really interesting.
Yeah. Thank
you. Going back, I guess I'm coming up to my last couple of questions. How did you meant? My question here is, what are investors in the region you would tell founders, if you want to raise money, go out and reach out to these investors?
Can you say the question again?
Okay, so I'm asking, like, who are investors you've worked with that you'd advise founders to go out and work with these investors?
Well, we love our investors. So obviously, I will talk about UM6P Ventures. So UM6P, just to give you a bit of context, it's the biggest university in Morocco. It's Université Mohamed VI Polytechnique. It has been built by the OCP. OCP is basically the biggest company in Morocco. It's the first exporter of phosphates in the world, and they just built what you can do best in terms of education education in the world. They are bringing professors from Harvard, Stanford, etc. And they have a VC firm, and it's this VC firm that is usually focused on hard techs, etc. that choose to do an investment. So we love them. They are wonderful people. The other investor that we have is Plug and Play. So Plug and Play is basically a VC firm, an American VC firm, and they are doing seed tickets all over the world, and a lot of seed tickets. And the third one is Launch Africa Ventures. So Launch Africa Ventures is the investor that put the biggest amount of ticket this last 18 months in Africa. And both of them, so Plug and Play, they are wonderful because they are connected to VCs all over the world. They basically know everything about startups. They can actually help you a lot, whatever is your problem, and especially your problem when you raise a seed round is to raise the rounds that are coming after. They are super, super, super good at doing this. They are super helpful, and more than super helpful, they are wonderful people. Same goes for Launch Africa Venture. The only difference is that Launch Africa, they are super focused in Africa. So basically, we're super happy to have all of them in, and I will advise all the entrepreneurs to talk with them.
So when an investor invests in your startup, what do you expect of them? Like, okay, they invested in me, because when an investor invests in you, they want you to get to $1 billion or become a unicorn.
Yeah.
When you're going to an investor, what does a founder expect from an investor?
So this is something that is really personal. That is really personal to me. What I think. So I will say exactly the same thing than what you will hear if you look at the Y Combinators video, but it's something that I totally agree with. The good thing, especially in early stage, the good investor is the investor that gives you the money and understand that he should not bother you with a lot of reporting, a lot of stuff, and that basically trusts you on the way you manage the money, and gives you the ability to be proactive with the investor in order to if you need any kind of his help. Good investors usually understand it very well. Basically, they know that as soon as they give you the money, it means that they trust you, and since they trust you, the one thing that you have to do is once a month give them the most important numbers. I think that the bad thing, a bad investor will be an investor that will tell you, I'm putting the money and then I'm going to help you because I have a lot of contacts, I have a lot of people that I know, so maybe I can be helpful in this and that. And they basically will try to use that kind of relationship in order to drive the way you manage your company. The one difference between that two kind of investors is that the good investors are so radical on trusting you. I had never been challenged since the investor had put the ticket inside for any decision that I took. Maybe it's also because the numbers are good, we are growing very fast, but in the past it had not been the same. So actually, the truth also is that I was younger and less experienced, but that thing is, I think, the main difference between a good and a bad investor.
And I love that you mentioned that, and I think a lot of founders should know that a good investor is someone who puts money in your startup. You send him a report every 2 weeks, every month, whatever the time is. And then if you need help, you go out and reach to them. You're like, I want to meet this person. I want to hire this person. Help me out. But a bad investor is someone who's going to come in and be detailed. Oh, do this, don't do that. For me, let a founder do his magic. You put your money in, trust him, and let him do his work.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you sharing that, because I think a lot of founders need to hear that to know what right investment to get and what not.
Yeah.
You shared a post on LinkedIn, I think it was a week ago, about the investment ecosystem in Africa, and especially, and what startup raised how much money and how much money went into funding. What do you think is missing in the startup ecosystem? Like, how could we improve the startup ecosystem in the MENA, like GCC region?
So what I think is that there will never be not enough supply in money for good startups, for good deal flow. The other way to say that is that if we multiply by 10 the amount of good startups, good deal flow, I'm totally sure that the amount of money that is invested in startups in Africa and GCC, MENA region, etc., will be multiplied by more than 10. It's exponential. So the one thing to do, so it's really true in Morocco. It's maybe a little bit less true in Egypt and Nigeria, because people, the industry of the startup industry is working better over there. But all over Africa, all over the MENA region, the one thing that we need to do is to make people want to do startups. If we have more people that wants to do startup, we have more startups. If we have more startups, we will have more good startups. If we have more good startups, we have more investment. If we have more investment, we'll have more success stories. And if we have more success stories, we will have the American dream here in Africa and in the MENA region. And more people will want to create unbelievable softwares here for all the world. So basically, I think that the most difficult thing that we need to tell to our people is we are not more stupid than Americans or Europeans. They are not smarter than us. The only thing that we need to do is trust in ourselves and build things. And we are not. This is a huge mistake that people are always making. We are not capped by the amount of money that is available to do that. If there are a lot more entrepreneurs, there will be more money.
And you said something. I've had 6 episodes now recorded on my podcast. This is one of the best things I've heard, and I really believe in that. I'm living in the US. I'm from Lebanon originally.
Cool.
But I believe that the talent we have in the MENA region, GCC, Africa, just the whole region is phenomenal. Yeah. We have great talent. We have very smart people. We need to believe in ourselves. No other country or no other region has more smart people than us.
Yeah.
And the region has a lot of money. We have a lot of rich countries. There's a lot of investors that are willing to invest. Go trust yourself and build something and show the world who you are. And I really believe in that.
Same for me.
Last 2 questions. If you're an investor, if you were not a startup founder, you're an investor. What are startups in the region in Morocco you see that you would put your money in and invest in?
That's a hard question because it's hard to be super objective about that question because at least here in Morocco, I know almost all the founders. We are all very, very good friends. So it's hard to answer. Obviously, there are so many startups in Egypt and in Africa in general that Can you hear me?
I could hear you.
Okay, so a lot of startups. Maybe I would say, I would say here in Morocco, I would love to have put an early ticket in Kifaloto for 2 reasons. First one is that the founder is a very good friend and he's an amazing entrepreneur. And second reason, he just exited a few weeks ago. So nice.
So he's a second-time founder.
Maybe the other startup that I saw it in the very early days, starting in Morocco. They started in Dubai, I think, but they had been very early in Morocco. It's Karim, and not because because of the big exit, etc. For 2 reasons. I think that those guys, even though I didn't work for them, I think that they have a great culture. I love the culture that they have, and I love this industry. I had been country manager for Hitch, which is a competitor of Karim, and I really love this industry. I love the way you have to be smart in order to create a marketplace in a city, etc. It's a beautiful industry.
You mentioned Karim. I spoke with Riyad Abu Jawda. He's a partner at MEVP, and he worked at Karim at the early stage as an intern. And he says the culture at Karim is great. They had belief since day one that they're gonna reach whatever they want to reach. And I think just like we speak about the PayPal mafia in the US, we speak about the Karim mafia in the region. Absolutely. Last question: are you hiring? If someone wants to join Wafr, are you hiring? What type of employees or people you are looking to work?
So yeah, we are going to be hiring in the near future. So it's tricky to talk about it because we are thinking very, very deeply to go to another country. But I can't say a lot more. So so we will disclose it in the good time, inshallah.
Okay, sounds great. Ismail, thank you so much for giving me
Thank
your
you.
time, answering questions. You gave great insights to founders. If someone wants to follow what you're doing, should they go Twitter, LinkedIn? Where should they follow you at? To see what
LinkedIn
you're
is
doing?
best, or if you want to reach out directly, ismail@wafr.co. And yeah, that's it.
Perfect. Thank you very much,
You're welcome.
Ismail.